Welcome to the LeVy Stories. More than 90% of our viewers watch our videos, but they haven't subscribed yet. Did you know that? Please click the subscribe button and enable alerts if you like these stories and want to see more. It only takes a moment and enables us to produce even more incredible content for you. Now, let us embark on this journey. It started on a sultry evening in Paris. Following the last round of negotiations that had drawn to a close, the city lay in serene silence. Yet within me, turmoil raged unceasingly. I recall that night with striking clarity. The image of Elias at my hotel room door etched in my mind, his tailored suit sharp against the dim light, his dark eyes brimming with unvoiced emotions. "Auntie Amara, you seem to be in need of a drink," he murmured, his voice flowing like a gentle caress. I smiled, concealing the turmoil raging inside me. Elias, my stepson, the child of the man who had whisked me away from Lagos to this strange, uncharted realm. Yet, there was an undeniable quality about him, an extraordinary essence that tugged at my very core in ways I struggled to articulate. Initially, I told myself it was trivial, a momentary whisper I could easily dismiss. Yet the emotions only intensified. My mind drifted to the memory of his smile, the way his lips curved when our eyes met from across the room, the intensity of his gaze that seemed to hold me captive, not as a son gazes at a stepmother, but as a man gazes at a woman. I was fully aware of the peril, yet I found myself unable to resist. That night, after a few drinks, the atmosphere between us crackled, heavy with unspoken desires. His gaze unsettled me, a silent understanding hanging between us, heavy with consequence. "Let's take a walk," he whispered, his voice thick with desire and challenge. The night air was sharp, the city lights pulsing like the heartbeat of a distant dream, but I felt an overwhelming heat coursing through me, igniting my very core. I was overwhelmed by emotions I could no longer suppress, that I struggled to confront. As we wandered through the silent streets, his fingers grazed against mine. Igniting a fire within me, I remained right there, unable to distance myself. I ought to have recalled my true self, the weight of what hung in the balance. Yet, I surrendered to the weight of the moment. "Amara," he murmured once more, his voice laced with a deeper yearning. "Why do you insist on referring to me as Elias, as if I'm merely your stepson? Can't you perceive me as something beyond the surface?" His question hung heavily, a haunting whisper that refused to fade away. I found myself lost in a sea of uncertainty. How could I confess that the boy who once idolized me had transformed into a man who ignited a fire within me that felt so wrong yet so exhilarating? All that separated us dissolved into nothingness. He leaned close, his words lingering in the air, stirring something unspoken within me. "I've yearned for this forever," he murmured, and the floodgates within me shattered. I urged myself to distance, to end this before it spiraled beyond control. Yet I refrained. When his lips finally brushed against mine, there was a tentative quality to it, a moment of exploration. He stood there, anticipating my refusal, a tension hanging thick in the air. Yet I refrained. I crossed a line I never thought I would, my fingers clutching his shirt as if it were my only lifeline in a tumultuous sea of desire. As we finally separated, gasping for air, an undeniable shift had occurred within us. "What comes next?" he asked, his voice thick with unspoken feelings that hung heavily between us. I felt an overwhelming urge to escape. I yearned to erase this moment from my memory. Yet, I found myself drawn to him once more, fully aware that there was no way to retreat. The morning light pierced through, revealing the truth I had desperately sought to evade. My eyes fluttered open, heavy with an unspoken yearning. His arm, he held me close, and I felt the weight of our choices sink in. A wave of desperation washed over me. What have I created? My husband, David, was far away, consumed by vital negotiations in Abuja, unaware of the treachery unfolding within the very walls of our home. I rose gradually, my movements deliberate, mindful of the stillness that enveloped Elias. Yet, as I shifted, his hold grew stronger, his caress unmistakably claiming. "Amara," he whispered, his voice heavy with desire. "What comes next?" I breathed out unsteadily, my fingers quivering as I grasped for my garments. He sat up, his gaze fixed on me, revealing a tumultuous depth that stirred an unsettling mix of yearning and complexity. A misstep. His voice resonated, shrouded in mystery. My eyes averted, unable to confront the depth of what lay between us. "I can't bear this any longer," I murmured, pushing myself to take a step, urging myself to break free. As I reached for the door, his voice held me captive. "Isn't there a part of you that craves me?" I stood still, caught in a moment that felt like an eternity. Desire, a wave of unbidden feelings surged within me, constricting my chest, demanding attention I wasn't prepared to face. I found myself speechless, unable to voice the truth that churned within me. I don't know, I finally confessed, my voice trembling with emotion. Yet, I find myself trapped in this cycle. And then I turned and left, my heart heavy with unspoken desires. The hallway stretched on, each step pulling me further into a chasm of yearning. As I stepped into my hotel room, a wave of exhaustion washed over me, and I fell onto the bed, my face hidden in my hands. Finally, the tears streamed down. This had transcended my own desires. It was a reflection on the decisions I had embraced, the deceptions I had woven, and the sanctuary I had constructed on a base that now seemed to dissolve, like grains of sand escaping my grasp. As the night deepened, I found myself reaching for my phone to call Samir. He answered on the first ring, his voice enveloping me in a comforting embrace. Yet, this moment only intensified the weight of my remorse. "Amara," he spoke, feeling the weight of my unspoken turmoil. "What troubles your heart?" I took a deep breath, my heart racing. "I must share something with you," I breathed, my voice trembling with urgency. A profound regret lingers within me. Stillness envelops the air, and then a gentle whisper emerges. "I'm here." Double asterisk. My hands quivered with an uncontainable energy. Yet, deep down, I understood that I was trapped in this relentless grip. I was compelled to confront the reality that lay before me. I faltered in my choices. I confessed, my voice trembling with emotion. The burden of my revelation felt overwhelming. Yet, in that fleeting instant, a profound truth dawned upon me. My love for Samir transcended mere momentary desire. It was a struggle. Revealing the truth is never simple. Yet, it marked the beginning of my journey to salvage the existence I had almost shattered. As I ended the call with Samir, an overwhelming stillness enveloped me. The burden of my revelation lingered, its repercussions threatening to unleash chaos like a tempest approaching from afar. I anticipated his response to be swift, a surge of emotion that would compel him to seek the truth, to unleash his fury, to condemn me for my actions. Yet, all that remained was an overwhelming stillness. "Samir," I breathed, clutching the phone with urgency. As he released a deep, measured sigh, "I crave time." "Amara." His voice held a mystery, yet I could sense the tension lurking beneath. Words escaped me in this moment. The call slipped away, leaving me with unspoken words hanging in the air. I lingered in that moment, captivated by the haunting image staring back at me from the shadowy hotel mirror. My face was ghostly, eyes sunken from restless nights, lips still tender from the fervent embraces that brought me to this moment. I had made the choice to reveal my truth, yet it felt as if I had ignited a blaze that consumed all I had painstakingly created. The sound of a knock on the door sent a jolt through my heart. I felt the weight of recognition before I even dared to unveil it. Elias stood there, his dark eyes probing into mine, his presence enveloping the doorway with an undeniable intensity. He had shed the remnants of last night's attire, yet the fervor in his eyes lingered, unyielding. "You confided in him, didn't you?" His voice was soft, yet it carried an enigmatic weight that stirred something deep within. I stepped aside, my heart racing as I nodded, allowing him to enter. I was compelled to. He closed the door with a heavy heart, fingers tangling in his hair as a storm of emotions surged within him. What comes next? I turned away, overwhelmed by a tempest of emotions. I find myself at a loss. Elias, his silence spoke volumes. He merely uttered that he required some time. He breathed out forcefully, as though preparing for something overwhelming. "Do you feel the weight of what has passed?" The question pierced through me, sharp and unrelenting. Did I wish I had chosen differently? I yearned to agree, to confess that I regretted allowing this to unfold, that I wished I had never gazed at him with such intensity, never surrendered to the blaze ignited by his caress. Yet beneath the surface, the reality was far more intricate than it appeared. "I ache with remorse for the pain I've caused Samir," I confessed, weighing each word with a heavy heart. A deep ache fills me as I reflect on my betrayal, the weight of hesitation heavy on my tongue, my voice trembling like a fragile secret. I embraced the fire of existence without remorse. Elias moved nearer, his gaze a tumultuous sea of unspoken emotions. What does that truly signify? I shut my eyes, desperately seeking to collect the tumult of my mind. It signifies that we can no longer continue down this path. "Elias," This cannot continue any longer. I must make every effort to mend my marriage. His jaw tightened, fists balling at his sides, a storm brewing within him. What if he never finds it in his heart to forgive you? The question hung in the atmosphere, its weight pressing down on me more than I was prepared to bear. His expression deepened with a tumultuous intensity, shrouded in shadows. And what of my heart? Amara, do you really believe I can simply erase the memories of what we shared? His words ignited a fire within me, stirring a tempest of emotions. His gaze held an edge, a fierce intensity that stirred something deep within me, a sense of being claimed. I withdrew, a chasm forming between our souls. You must. I insisted with fervor. We are compelled to. In that fleeting silence, words hung heavy in the air between us. Then, without uttering a single word, Elias turned and strode out, the door crashing shut behind him. For the next 2 days, I found myself confined within the walls of my hotel room, consumed by an overwhelming sense of yearning. I distanced myself from Elias, brushed aside his calls, and found myself in a state of restless anticipation, yearning for Samir to reach out and reveal his choice. As the phone rang, a surge of emotion coursed through me, leaving me breathless. Amara. His voice held a steady cadence, yet beneath it lay a tension that felt foreign and electric. Samir, I need you. I began to speak, but he interrupted me. I've been consumed by your words, he said with a heavy heart. And I must be with you, face to face. I took a deep breath. When will the ache subside? Tomorrow, I will take to the skies and journey to Paris. I shut my eyes, steeling myself for what was to come. All right, we shall converse then. The call came to a close. I breathed out unsteadily, sensing the heavy burden of it all bearing down on me. Tomorrow, I would confront my husband, the man I had wronged, and uncertainty gnawed at me as I pondered his judgment. That night, rest eluded me, and I found myself wandering out of my room into the darkness. The hotel corridors were silent, the atmosphere heavy with an unshakable tension. As I entered the lobby, a voice pierced through the air, halting me in my tracks. Rest eludes you. I pivoted with a sudden urgency. Elias lingered in one of the leather chairs by the bar, a drink clutched tightly in his hand. His gaze was a mystery, yet something in his eyes stirred a deep tremor within me, igniting a fire that words alone could not convey. He carried an intensity that was palpable, a shadow that hinted at deeper desires. You must find rest, I urged with a weighty resolve. We absolutely must. But as I began to walk away, his hand closed around my wrist. Not difficult, yet resolute enough to catch my breath in a moment of yearning. Whisper to me, Amara, he breathed, his tone laced with an unsettling intensity. If he turns away, would you ever consider us again? A heavy weight pressed against my chest. Elias, I need you. Just tell me the truth. I took a deep breath, compelling myself to hold his stare. No, his hold faltered, his gaze a tempest of unspoken emotions. In that moment, silence enveloped the air as he turned, his figure fading into the darkness of the hotel, leaving behind an ache that lingered in the stillness. A shiver coursed through me. I thought I had closed the door on this chapter, yet an undeniable force whispered that Elias still clung to the hope of holding on, and that filled me with a deeper fear than anything I had ever known. The following morning, I found myself in the hotel lobby, consumed by a restless anticipation. My nerves were on edge. When Samir walked in, his presence crashed over me like a relentless tide. He was serene, almost unnaturally so, and that filled me with a deeper fear than if he had burst in, voice raised in anger. He settled into the chair opposite me. Share every detail with me, he urged softly, and thus I followed through. I unleashed everything within me. I laid bare my soul to him, the emotions I had pushed aside for far too long. The moment I surrendered to them and the overwhelming remorse that enveloped me in the aftermath. As I completed my task, he gazed at me intently, his expression a mystery that stirred something deep within. At last, his voice broke the silence. I have loved you, Amara. I placed my faith in you. His voice held a haunting calmness. Yet, I find myself questioning whether I can ever see you in the same light again. My eyes stung with unshed tears. Samir, I need you. He averted his gaze, a storm of emotion swirling within him. I crave a moment to gather my thoughts. I crave distance. My heart lay in fragments, Are you really going to walk away from me? He breathed out deeply, his fingers tangling in his hair as a storm of emotions swirled within him. I find myself at a crossroads, uncertain and yearning for clarity, and just like that, he stood and walked away, leaving me there, engulfed in the weight of my decisions. As I watched him fade away, a wave of desire surged within me, battling against the haunting memories that clung to my heart, no matter how fervently I yearned to rewrite our story. Some betrayals etched wounds that time could never mend. Some errors carry a weight far beyond our comprehension. In the days that followed, I wandered like a specter, lost in the depths of my own existence. Samir had departed with little more than silence, his absence a piercing echo of the wounds I had inflicted. His silence pierced through me. His silence pierced through me. And Elias, he consumed my thoughts, an omnipresence that ignited a fire within me. Initially, I believed it was all in my head, fleeting visions of him in the hotel lobby, the weight of his stare enveloping me as I moved through the corridors. Yet, soon the messages began to flow. You can't simply wipe me from your existence. Amara, did you truly believe you could take advantage of me and cast me aside? Every message ignited a fire within me, stirring a tumult of emotions that left me breathless. I turned away, yearning for him to understand without a word spoken, yet he chose not to. One evening, as I returned to my hotel room, I discovered a solitary red rose waiting at my door, stirring a whirlwind of emotions within me. My heart raced wildly as I searched the hallway. It felt hollow, yet I was acutely aware. Elias clung fiercely, unwilling to release his grip. I grasped the rose, my fingers quivering with an uncontainable fervor. A note lay hidden beneath it. Let's rendezvous at the rooftop bar for one final moment together. A fragment of my soul yearned to cast it aside, to feign ignorance of its existence. Yet a deeper part of me understood that if I didn't confront him at this moment, the cycle would persist endlessly. So I ventured forth. The rooftop bar held a stillness. The city lights flickered like distant stars, each one a reminder of what was just out of reach. Elias lingered by the railing, a glass of whiskey clutched tightly in his hand. He remained still, oblivious to my presence as I drew near. Did you arrive? He spoke, his voice silky yet laced with an undercurrent of chill. I wrapped my arms around myself. This cannot continue. Elias. He finally looked at me, his dark eyes aflame with an intensity that stirred something deep within. Is it truly so? Do you really believe you can turn your back on this? As if it never existed, I took a deep breath. It was a misstep, a moment of weakness that stirred something deep within. His jaw tightened with unspoken desire. A misstep. He moved nearer, his eyes fixed intently on me. I find it hard to accept that your gaze pierced through me, igniting something deep within. Your response stirred something deep within me. I hesitated, feeling the weight of my emotions pulling me in different directions. In the depths of my uncertainty, I have finally found my path. I must mend the fragments of my existence. Elias released a harsh, mirthless chuckle. Transform your existence. With him, he let out a derisive laugh. Do you believe Samir will ever see you in that light again? Do you believe he can find it in his heart to forgive you? I remained silent, for within me, uncertainty churned like a tempest. He moved closer, each step heavy with unspoken desire. There was a connection between us. Amara. It's undeniable. I locked eyes with him, battling the tumult within me. Perhaps I did. Yet emotions don't always lead us true. And this feels so deeply misplaced. Elias's expression grew heavy with unspoken desires. Is that truly all there is? Do you really think I can simply release you from my grasp? I inhaled deeply. Yes, his grip around the glass became more fervent. For a fleeting instant, I believed he would unleash it, but then he just breathed out sharply and averted his gaze. Very well, I observed him, yearning for an unspoken revelation, a final, fervent cry for connection. Yet, he remained rooted in place, gazing at the horizon with an intensity that spoke of unfulfilled desires. I felt the weight of the moment urging me to step away. As I turned my back, his words lingered in the air, a haunting promise of regret. A tremor coursed through my being, yet I refused to glance behind. The following morning, I left the hotel, my heart heavy, and secured the first flight back home. I felt an overwhelming urge to leave this place, haunted by the echoes of the past and the ever-present threat of Elias waiting just out of sight. As I stepped off the plane, my heart raced at the sight of Samir waiting for me just beyond the airport doors. My heart tightened at the mere glimpse of him. You're here, I whispered. He examined me with a fervent intensity. "We must have a conversation." I nodded, a tumult of emotions swirling within me. "I understand." The journey back was laden with silence, thick with the weight of things left unsaid. As we reached our destination, he brought the car to a stop yet remained still, lost in a moment of hesitation. In that moment, he shifted his gaze toward me. "The ache of your actions lingers, Amara, and I find myself torn between the desire to let go and the weight of what you've done," he confessed. "Yet, my heart remains tethered to you." Emotion surged within me, threatening to spill over. "My heart aches for you, Samir, and I am willing to fight through every obstacle to mend what's broken." His gaze lingered on me, heavy with unspoken words, before he let out a deep sigh. Only time will reveal what lies ahead. It was something deeper, an ache that lingered in the shadows. It was merely a whisper of hope. Yet, it marked the beginning. Epilogue. The past always resurfaces, haunting the depths of the soul. Time stretched on endlessly. Samir and I navigated the shattered remnants of our union, each fragment revealing the depth of our struggle. It was a struggle, yet we pressed on with fervor. And Elias, he vanished into thin air. No messages. Silence lingers. It felt as though he had slipped away from my existence entirely. Until that fateful evening, and then he appeared before me, positioned on the opposite side of the street, partially cloaked in darkness. Elias, our gazes locked in an electric moment. A deliberate, tantalizing smile curled at the corners of his mouth, and in that moment, I understood that this was far from finished. If this story captivated you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Infidelity Tales for more enthralling narratives. Make sure to tap the bell icon, ensuring you're always in the loop with every new update. Pour your feelings into the comments below. I yearn to know your thoughts.